Okay, welcome back. We need to talk a little bit more about asteroids one more time. And we've already talked quite a bit about how to set up your rock, how to get your rock on the screen, into an array, off the screen, out of the array, and how those are different. We just need to talk kind of about the mystery of Flash and how Flash will handle these things that are on its screen so that when you start your mass chaos of shooting things and exploding things, you kind of need to know how Flash is going to handle that and how it will, what order things are going to happen for you. So, just for a quick example, here's a really simplified demo where you have a rock that does not look like a rock. He looks like a blue circle. Don't be disturbed by that. And here's your main timeline. Your main timeline has some code here that will, all he does is 10 times he gives birth to a brand new rock, and he will push that into an array. Now, please make sure you understand, so you're not confused about the last video, these rocks are going to show up on the screen. There they are. Don't be confused. The reason they're showing up on the screen is not because I pushed them into the array. They're showing up on the screen because I have passed each baby rock the main timeline, so that baby rock can speak to the main timeline and tell him to get himself onto the main timeline. So the rock is taking care of adding the child to get them to show up. So don't be confused there. But anyway, that is the main timeline. The rock, when the rock is born, the constructor for the rock, first of all, the rock will receive a number which is his ID number, just for this example. That will be stored. Also, upon birth, he will add an event listener for entering frame that we'll call mover. All that mover does, mover will simply print out his ID number and then make him move. Now, the ID numbers are not very creative. They are 0, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3, and so on. So the rock ID number 0 gets added to the stage first, and then 1, and then 2, etc. So, this will kind of decode some of the mystery that is Flash, because we don't really know what the main timeline is doing. But if you will notice, this output up here, this output that you're seeing, keeps happening in order. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The reason that is happening, it's not necessarily because it's ascending order. Those rocks are entering the frame in that order. Rock 0 enters the frame, then 1, then 2, then 3, because they are called upon in the order in which they were added to the main timeline. Not so much added to the main timeline as much as the order in which they registered their event listeners. So Rock 0 registered his event listener first, then Rock 1, then Rock 2. So every frame, those people are spoken to in that order, because the order in which they registered their event listener. Now, if you will notice, I'm here on the main timeline, not in the rock, on the main timeline. I have a little function called update, which just prints something out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the main timeline add an event listener for event.enter frame himself. So we need to see just exactly how this is going to work. Now, my 10 rocks have an enter frame event, all 10 of them, and now the main timeline does. So let's just see. Oh, nice syntax error. Let me fix that real quick. Where is my syntax error? There we go. There they are. And then if you will notice, the output is in this nice predictable format. It's you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the main timeline, which is happening because the rocks all registered their event listeners when they were born. That happened before the main timeline registered his. So if you will notice, rock 0 is the first person that got called. Now, if I were to just switch this around, just to prove it to you, if the main timeline was the first person to register his event listener, then he would be the first person that was considered to enter the frame, and that happens first. Now, here's what this means for you and your game. Your game is complicated. There are lots of people that are getting added to the stage, removed from the stage, rocks are taken off, baby rocks are added on, 100 missiles are being shot probably while that's happening. So you've got all these people that are registering their event listeners at different times, and mass chaos. And that can lead to some weird behavior in your game, which you want to avoid because it's hard to debug. So just notice this. Your rocks will be trying to figure out if they have run into things so that they could explode and take themselves off the screen. If you let them take themselves off of the screen, that's going to be kind of dangerous because the order in which this type of thing could happen gets really jumbled, and you won't be able to fix that. Now, I'm going to say here, I'm going to let the rock take care of killing itself, and I have this little death function that does all the killing, getting him out of the ray, getting him off the screen, and inside my rock, I could say at a certain time, this rock will take himself off the screen, and I will tell you that I am dead. Now, watch what will happen in your output. The ordering of this gets a little weird because when rock 0 moved, he, at that exact same moment, while he was moving, realized he was going to die and was removed from the screen. So rock 0 moved and then removed. Rock 1 moved and removed. Now, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but it gets kind of jumbled and crazy. And imagine if you had 100 rocks on the screen and bullets on the screen and your ship on the screen all doing this. What's going to happen is bullets and rocks will be added at different times, so they'll get jumbled up in the order in which they move. Like 2 rocks would move, then 37 bullets and a rock and 2 bullets, and etc., which gets confusing because the rock might not think he hit a bullet, and then the bullet moves and touches the rock, but the rock had already checked for collisions because he already had his turn, and just people get in weird turns and they die at weird times, and things get really jumbled. What would be nicer is if you knew exactly what order things were going to go in and made people take turns. So to do that, watch this. Notice this big jumbled mess you have. If I take the dying part out of the rock, then I could come back to the main timeline and I could force things to happen in a prettier way. So what I'm going to do here is in this main timeline, in his update function, I already typed this because I knew I would do a syntax error if I didn't. We still have a syntax error. No, okay. Now watch this. So what I just did is I allowed the main timeline to take care of deciding when people need to die. So here I went through every rock. Now I know exactly what order it's going to go in. Went through every rock and decided if that rock was time to die or be taken off the screen. Now look at the order that things are happening in. All the rocks moved. Then it was time for the main timeline to do his thing. He updates after all the rocks have moved. So all the rocks moved, then the main timeline moved, updated, and at that time, all the people that needed to be taken off the screen could be taken care of in an orderly fashion. Like, these people will now be removed from the screen, instead of I removed while things were moving around me and all that kind of business. So this is a much more orderly just sequence of events for your program that will make things happier, because you will be able to let everything move, all the rocks, all the bullets move. Then, after they've all made a move, you can go through and clean off the things that need to be taken out, and you won't have any people that slip by you or miss, who knows what, miss deciding they hit something or whatever. So that will be much nicer. Now, one last thing to talk about is a little CS1 issue. I know you had a great CS1 teacher, but if you're going to go taking things out of an array, you need to be careful because things will be shifting around. Oh, well, I really thought that was going to make it throw up. Maybe, I guess not. I really thought that was going to give me an issue. It can be scary when you start taking things out of there because things will get shifted around. If you're walking forwards, they might slip past you. But maybe that won't be an issue. You're always surprised with Flash. You never know what it's going to do. So, moral of the story here. Your rocks, they probably don't need to deal with the collision detection and remove themselves from the screen because the ordering that things happen in would be very confusing. It would be easier if you let them take care of moving themselves, and then with an event listener on the main timeline could then come clean house after everything has moved. So just so you know the order that it happens in, that's a much cleaner way to take care of that, and a lot less buggy, so you won't have these rocks that kind of slip past your bullets, and you won't be wondering what's going on. So just make sure you have kind of a cleanup function here. Now, if I were you, I would definitely write like a little def function so that you can quickly in one line have the rock deal with getting himself out of the array, off the screen, and all that kind of business. So that would make things cleaner. But again, that's your mission for phase 3.